Authorities announced they will not pursue criminal charges against the police officer who fatally shot 22-year-old Amir Locke back in February. This is a case that led to protests against the police, both in Minnesota and beyond. Hennepin County Attorney Michael Freeman and Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison said in a statement that they are not charging Officer Mark Hanneman or any other officer who was on the scene when Locke was shot and killed. Now, on the night of February 2nd, police were executing a no-knock warrant as part of a murder investigation in which Locke was not named. When officers entered the apartment, Locke was sleeping on a couch. But his reaction prompted Officer Hanneman to act. I want to remind you, the body cam video we're about to show you is disturbing.
Police search warrant! Police search warrant! Police search warrant!
You'll notice that Locke raised a gun after the officers entered the apartment. Now, as far as I'm concerned, Amir Locke didn't do anything wrong. He was asleep, probably didn't quite understand what was going on, got scared, raised his weapon. He legally owned that weapon. But conversely, it's also totally understandable why a police officer who had a gun pointed towards them fired. In their joint statement, the prosecutors explained the decision not to pursue charges against Officer Hanneman, saying, quote, after entering the apartment on a judicially authorized search warrant, the officers encountered an individual unknown to them, later identified as Amir Locke, who was moving around under a blanket and held out a firearm that was pointed in the direction of at least one officer. This constitutes a specifically articulable threat. Officer Hanneman perceived that Mr. Locke's movements and production of a firearm presented a threat of death or great bodily harm that was reasonably likely to occur and to which the officers had to respond without delay. Now, note the words about a specific threat. Officer Hanneman was justified, according to Minnesota authorities, in perceiving a threat from Locke because of the raised weapon. A threat of great bodily harm was, quote, reasonably likely to occur. Officers in the line of duty have just a split second to react. The statement goes on to say, quote, the totality of the circumstances known to Officer Hanneman and the other officers at the time included that, one, they were conducting a search warrant related to a homicide in which high-powered rounds had been used. Two, the suspects remained at large. Three, the suspects were known to possess firearms and engage in violent conduct. And four, an unidentified individual was holding a firearm pointed in the direction of at least one officer with others present. These circumstances, they said, are such that an objectively reasonable officer in Officer Hanneman's position would have perceived an immediate threat of death or great bodily harm that was reasonably likely to occur, and an objectively reasonable officer would not delay in using deadly force. The officers were not entering the apartment looking for a low-level drug offender. Suspects in this case were alleged to have committed multiple armed robberies and shot a man. The alleged crime is relevant in the decision for whether an officer should use force. Turns out the apartment where Locke was shot was the residence of the defendant's brother's girlfriend. His brother was there. The suspect had been staying there recently. It was the correct address and apartment for the raid. Now, I have long had concerns about no-knock warrants. I think the risks to both innocent people in the homes and the officers themselves can be too great. And many police officers will tell you the same thing. Just yesterday, actually, Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey announced a ban on no-knock warrants in the city. But Officer Hanneman was tasked with executing this warrant. And it would seem to me his actions were completely justifiable. This is an incredibly tragic situation. Keep in mind, these are the officials who recently led the prosecution of Derek Chauvin for murdering George Floyd and of Officer Kim Potter for fatally shooting Dante Wright when she accidentally grabbed her gun instead of her taser. They got convictions in both those cases. So I give credit to Ellison and Freeman and those involved in the investigation of this case for putting principle above politics and making what seems to me the obvious call here. But joining us now is someone who knows about this stuff much better than I do, Joseph Blaettler. He's a use of force expert. He's testified in more than a dozen trials. Also joining us, as he regularly does, is Sean Sticks Larkin, retired Tulsa police lieutenant. Gentlemen, thank you very much for coming on the show. Appreciate it. All right, so Joseph, based on your review of the video, was this even a close call as far as you're concerned?
Based on my review, I mean, they made the right call in not bringing criminal charges. You got to put yourself in the officer's position. what did he reasonably believe at the time he pulled the trigger? He was faced with a person with a gun. He was on the property based on a search warrant. He reacted based on his training. He acted within the law. And I think they made the right call in not charging him. This is really a case of two issues here. The use of force is one issue. The no-knock is the second issue.
Right. But again, from the officer's perspective, right, it's not that officer's decision as to what sort of warrant is going to be issued. That's the officer executing on the warrant, correct?
Correct. He's following a tactical plan. He's following an order. He's one person. Unfortunately, he's the one that's going to take all the blame on this. But he was put into that position, and he had to react based on his training, his experience, and the law. And that's what he did.
All right, and I'm going to go to Sticks because he's not happy about something that was said here. But let me ask you one more question, Joseph. How important is it practically, legally, what the person, the suspect, was suspected of? How important a factor is the fact that they were suspected of actually shooting someone here?
Well, I mean, that's relevant. It adds to the totality of the situation. You're dealing with armed suspects. You have a warrant. Again, the officer was placed in that position. He really didn't have a choice.
Yep.
It's tragic, but he didn't have a choice.
All right. Now, Sticks, when I first read about this, I thought, well, these guys, these prosecutors, deserve credit here for having made the right call. It's probably not going to be a politically popular call in certain areas, and in particular, maybe where they are in that area of Minnesota. But you were really bothered by the statement the prosecutors made. Why?
It was just some of the wording that was in the statement. Again, correct. They made the correct call because that's what case law, has set precedents. That's what law states, should happen in these type of officer-involved situations. The wording in their press release is what I had a problem with. Pretty much blamed everything on the execution of a no-knock warrant. Dan, you and I have spoken numerous times. I've spoken publicly about this in the media. I personally am not a fan of no-knock warrants myself. The NTOA, which is the National Tactical Officers Association, they just put out a statement that they too are not in favor of these as well. So hopefully we see more agencies across the country change their mind using this. But, Amir Locke, I understand he may have mistaken police as intruders, but he did point a gun at a police officer. Therefore, the officer was legally justified in using force.
Thank you for watching. Click the red subscribe button below so you can get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.